Hey, thanks for tuning in. I have been meaning to walk around the yard and take some pictures or videos of some of the flowers that are blooming, mostly daffodils and tulips and a few other spring blooming things. But I was actually asked to make a couple bouquets for tomorrow. So I'm going to walk around the yard, show you a couple of the things that are blooming, and pick some flowers for tomorrow. A lot of the spring blooming bulbs that I purchase are from Color Blends. I can get wholesale pricing from them. I believe it feels like it's a pretty good price, and the quality of the bulbs has always been really good. They send, really big bulbs and you get a discount the more you order, and they have a great selection. So I've been really happy with that. I don't know the name of all the varieties that I have, so I may try to look some up and put them on the screen where my memory lacks, but some of them might have come from little packets from Walmart, or I know I've gotten daffodils from Mom, and I wouldn't know the name of those. But are these yellow tulips not amazing? They are pretty much blown out. I'm gonna pick them, take some pictures, and bring them in the house for the last day or so. This is Akibono. My pronunciation is not gonna be great. They're a pretty vibrant yellow color when they first start to bloom. And then the very edges of the petals get this really pretty red. I'm not a huge red flower person, but I really like the combination of this. It's really striking. So I have a little area. This is under my deck. It's kind of awkward because I don't have anything behind it. There's plants behind it. They're just not very big in the spring. And my deck does not get sun underneath it. So they're planted along the edge, and it's a really sweet little grouping. I think, ignore the soccer net, I think it might be kind of nice to finish planting out this little area around here with this variety. But I've really enjoyed them for a couple years now. This is the second year. I planted 25 bulbs the first year, and it looks like I have about 25 here. So that's pretty good. We're gonna bypass the little crates here of my experiment. I put a few of the tulip bulbs that I had left over in crates because I wasn't able to get them in the ground. They bloomed okay. They weren't super tall when they started to color up. So my plan is to let them bloom, and then I'll put them in the yard after the foliage dies back. Back in here, I have a few random tulips that I don't really know what they are. They were in a mix last year, and they just found their home over here this summer. Back in here, I planted daffodils pretty sparingly. Oops. This is Delnishaw. Let's see if I can find one that's opened a little bit more. Isn't that just stunning? It's an ivory color outer petal, and then the inner ruffles are a really pastel peach color. I just love this one so much. It's so full. It's pretty big. My hope is that someday this little section in the retaining wall here will just fill up with Delnishaw, and I'll have enough that I can put in some bouquets come spring. But for now, I'm really enjoying them because they get more shade. The deck is right up here. So this part all is in shade for, the latter half of the day. They're gonna bloom later. Some of them back there are just starting to, they're about at gooseneck stage, but I won't pick them quite yet. Then up here, this is the back of our garage. I have white cubed tulips in here, as well as, I think it might be called Seaview Plate. Some purpley color, a little bit of pink, a little bit of white. And then I have Ice Folly daffodils that are just about done. This has been really fun. It's starting to naturalize a little bit out here. We get a nice bit of color. Daffodils come early. The tulips are finishing with the last group of tulips. The white cubed variety has tulips that bloom a little earlier, and then mid, and then a little bit later. So you kind of get them for quite a long season. I also have hyacinth in here, and they are on their way out. But really pretty purple whites, a little bit of yellow. Kind of a catch-all in here, actually. So I mentioned that I'm cutting a few bouquets of flowers. And basically, again, I'm not going to cover it in this video, but we are giving away bouquets of flowers to friends, family, neighbors, strangers, community members, coworkers. It's something that we started doing a couple years ago. Last year we did a lot, and I'm hoping this year will be bigger and better. I've been planting a lot more daffodils and tulips and cutting flowers just specifically for this purpose. All right, this bed, it needs a new name desperately. I call it the septic bed because it's kind of concealing our septic tank stuff. But what I put in this little bed is white flowers, purple flowers, and chartreuse flowers or greenery. And in the spring, it's absolutely beautiful. The camera is not going to do it justice. It's full of white cubed tulips. I might also have clear water tulips in here. And I also have the white daffodils in here that start things off. My plan for this year is I might paint those little white posts. I think I can do that, right? I think if I just paint them black, they won't stick out quite as much. I do have a pot in the middle that I tend to put petunias in. And then this year, and this was even my husband's idea, so I'm going to take him up on it. When you look at this bed from the deck or our bedroom window, it looks pretty small given the wide amount of space that we have out here. So I think what I'm going to do is make it a little bit bigger, which means I will kind of supplement the tulips and daffodils that are already out here. I might add some white hyacinth or maybe even purple hyacinth. It would stick with the color scheme for this bed, and it would just be really beautiful. Got another little friend in the garden. For the white cube mix, the very first tulips that bloom, or the earlier ones maybe, they're a little bit more yellow in color. And the first year I had this planted, I was not real thrilled with how yellow they came out. I was expecting it to be pure white. And so when they came out and they were yellow, I wasn't real happy. They do age or mature and turn more white. And then the second and third grouping of tulips are very white. All right, let's find a few in here that I think I can pick for this bouquet. What I'm kind of scanning around for are tulips because I think the daffodils are pretty much done. And I'm looking for tulips that are still closed basically and just are showing a little bit of color. And I don't see any in here. It looks like they've all been open for at least a day or so. I'm not going to pick any of these. They'd be fine. And in some of the bouquets that I do, I will pick tulips that look like this one where they just opened today, because I'm not doing this for a florist or a wedding or anything like that. These are going to neighbors and friends and family, and you know, if they have one day shorter vase life, that's okay. People are not paying for these bouquets, so it's okay if they, you know, don't last quite as long. But I do like to try to pick my tulips when they are closed a little bit more like this one. And even this one is probably a day later than I would normally pick it. So I'm sure somewhere around the yard I'll find one that is the cracked color stage that I'm talking about, but let's move on to the next bed. Okay, I kind of lied. We're not moving on to the next bed per se, but along the woods, I'll show you here, along the woods all the way down and then around the corner up till about here, I have daffodils planted all along here. I got the mix from Color Blends. I think it was called the Top 40 mix. It's really harsh light right now, you can't quite see, but the trumpet in the center is more orange than the outer petals. Very pretty. There's another variety back here that has 3 or 4 blooms per stalk. Very pretty, and they're much smaller than a lot of the normal daffodils. Let's see what else we have. I kind of missed some. Oh, these are pretty back here. I didn't see these before. Again, they're a little bit smaller. They have multiple blooms on the stem, but the trumpet in this one is a lighter color than the outside petals. That's really pretty. There's a couple peach colored ones that were in this mix. There's a couple doubles in the mix. There's quite a variety in here. And my goal really was, I planted them about a foot apart and zigzag them. All the way along the wood line here. And my hope was that over the next, 5-10 years, this is just gonna be full of daffodils. And either we're still gonna be cutting bouquets and giving them away, and I'm gonna have more than I can handle, or I'm just gonna have a really pretty show of daffodils when it comes springtime. I also did this along the woods in the front yard. So we have the exact same show along the driveway, which is pretty cool. This year it was really pretty. Things are starting to naturalize a little bit. It's really pretty. And in a couple of years, this will be really good. Oh my gosh, look how teeny tiny these are. That's so fun. I see one up here that I want to show you. There aren't as many white ones in this mix, and it's possible that maybe they're later or there just aren't as many. Let's see if I can get the camera on it. Look at that one. That's beautiful. One of the nice things about doing this mix is that I can see flowers like that really pretty white and apricot one maybe. If that's one that really stands out to me, I can go to Color Blends and search their site, find some that look somewhat like that. I can probably find that variety. I just don't know the name, but I can find something close to it and order it for next year. Okay, we were on a mission. Let's go to the raised bed garden. All right, I'm out in the raised bed garden. We do a lot of the vegetables and some fruit out here. And one of the borders around this is a little bit of a hedge of Ice Follies daffodils. They are past their prime, past their peak by several days. I should probably come out and pinch off the blooms, but this is absolutely beautiful. It has naturalized. This has been in here for 3 years now, and I love it. It's been great. Ice Follies start out, and again, this is a little bit past its prime, but they start out with a almost bright yellow center, and as they age, it softens up and becomes white, or it's not even white, it's more, get off. It's not even white, it's more of an ivory or an antique white. Really pretty color. This has been a great bed. I did cut some here, but they're all past their prime and ready to move on to the next thing. Last year I planted dahlias where the daffodils are. So we'll see if that's gonna be the plan this year, or maybe I could do snapdragons. That would be pretty too. I have one other bed out behind the house here that we'll see if there's anything blooming. All right, so out in this back corner, we're behind the horse pens, over by the windmill, and this was a garden that I carved out 2 years ago, I think. It's turning out really well. I'm excited about the daffodils in here. I'll be honest, I did not see them when they first started blooming. I came out 2 days ago and picked all of the ones that still look pretty fresh, and I'm gonna take some pictures of them. So kind of missed them this year, but they will have a chance to naturalize next year, and there's gonna be even more. What I have in here, what is this? I don't remember the name of this variety here. I'll have to look at my records. Really pretty. It's kind of a melon color almost. Kind of like a cantaloupe color trumpet in this one. Very cute, very dainty. And all of these smell amazing. I have white lion in the center here. Well, you're not gonna find a good one because I picked them all. White lion in the center here. It's a double. Ivory on the outside, and then a pale yellow, buttery yellow ruffle in the middle. Absolutely gorgeous. And then I have pink charm over here. Kind of has a band of a very light orangey pink around the trumpet. Really pretty. Excited for these to naturalize a little bit more out here. This is kind of like a holding bed for me. This is not a huge flower bed, so once they start taking over, I can divide them and move them around to different locations. All right, let's head to the front. The memory garden is looking phenomenal. All right, detour before we get to the memory garden. This is the south side of the house. I have retaining walls here, and these gardens are a bit of a mess. Super weedy, not loving how everything is set up. They will be under construction this year, so hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of these as we work on updating the layout of them and what goes in them, removing some stuff, moving some stuff. And for now, these are all a bunch of random daffodils and tulips. It's kind of where I threw all the leftovers that I had. So I have some really pretty ones. They just got put over here. No rhyme or reason. We've seen most of these. It looks like ice follies, white lion, maybe some pink charm. Looks like the sea view plat, tulip. Really pretty grouping of tulips back here. I see some double tulips back here. I might pick these. I noticed that they were still closed yesterday. They're kind of snuggled in this sumac tree here. I might pick a couple of these for the bouquet just because the double tulips seem to take a little bit longer to open. So they might still be pretty fresh. A couple of these little pink ones might be pretty too. Let's grab a few of these for the bucket. Stem length on the pink ones here is phenomenal. I do believe I have Best Pink, Pink Cubed, Menton, Averon, and Angelique. And maybe that some of these are some combination of that. Again, the labeling, not great. I do have it written down what I've ordered in the past. And I have it written down where I thought I was going to plant them. Whether they ended up getting planted in those locations is always a mystery. I don't know if you guys have a plan and then once you get the flowers in, that plan just kind of goes right out the window and you change what you were gonna do. Oh, this is pretty. I like the view of this. Hold on a sec. Let's see if you can get that to appreciate that. That's pretty. I love that layering. Got some daffodils that are still blooming, the sea view plat. So this is the kind of thing where when we move this flower bed, I'll try to keep the tulips. If they come out because I need to move them, I'll replant them. But if they stay in the ground like this, that's completely fine with me too. I have some random tulips in here that I would not have planted. Where those came from, beats me. Again, might have been like a grocery store bundle that I thought I'd put over here and look what happened. Okay, memory garden. So here's the memory garden. We started this project a couple years ago, I believe. It's in our front yard, full sun all day long, and we planted little pockets of daffodils and tulips around here. I did not take a picture when the daffodils were blooming, but they were beautiful. I planted cassata. And I think I only planted 25 bulbs. They have naturalized great. You know, they might have 40 now, but they're absolutely beautiful. Definitely going to order another 25 to supplement in here because it was just such a nice sign of spring in the front yard. And now the tulips are putting on a show. The taller pink tulips, I'll put their name on the screen because I can't remember. They are a beautiful color. Absolutely love this color. They're done now. I'm not going to pick any of those. And this is one of those beds where it's in the front of my house. And because we're kind of still just adding to it right now, I'm not picking as much from this bed just because I can see it from my office window. So I kind of like that it's full and adds a nice pop of color in the spring. You can see a shorter little variety that's just starting to get going. And this is the Pillow Talk mix. It's looks like a double yellow. And there is a pink tulip in the mix as well. Very soft colored, really sweet. The willow tree is adding a ton of movement to this area. It's starting to bud out. The stems of this tree are just incredible. Love it. So far this bed has been just incredible. I'm really happy with the trees that we have in here. They seem like they're doing well. Most of the plants are coming back great. The ones that are supposed to naturalize are looking like they're doing just that. I think we've got some big alliums right here that are going to start popping really fast. We had a nice week of a bunch of rain and now it's 80 degrees today. So things are really starting to put on a lot of growth. So excited about this bed. And the last bed is what I call the sidewalk bed. Again, I need some serious help with the creativity of the names of these flower beds. This one is always my favorite. It's bright, it's bold, it's pink. I love it. So there's a ton of varieties in here. I don't remember the name of all of them. There's a Smooch blend, there's a pink cubed, there's Averon. I believe Angelique is in here as well. There might be Menton. Actually, I think Menton is this really nice, kind of more of a muted or dusty pink. This bed I do have to plant in every year. I feel like I supplement this with more bulbs every year just because they don't naturalize super great in here, and every year I kind of find little holes where I need to make sure I add more. This bed is really just, I love the view of it. It'd only be better if that hydrangea tree in the background there was in bloom at the same time. I think I'm gonna end it here. That's about as much as I have in bloom for right now. Hopefully next year there will be more, but thanks for sticking around with us. Stay tuned. We will have more garden tours and planting videos and all things garden related now that the weather is warm. Thanks for watching. Bye.